So, according to statistics, 50% of marriages end in divorce. 100% of mine end with me crying in a pool of tears, but, what I'm trying to say is sometimes people just gotta split. And you can have really good memories. And it was a really just great marriage. But as you go through life, people change, right? Like, think about yourself 10 years ago. It's not the same person that you are now, and it's not going to be the same person that you're going to be in 10 more years. And I say this as a man that I can't say this easily, okay, guys? I will say, I'm at the age of 31. I know the hairline says otherwise. That's maybe a 33-year-old hairline at best, bro. It's not that bad, okay? But as I get older, one of the things that kind of like hits me in the feels is seeing NBA players that I watched growing up, either retire or get like coaching jobs, or you see them on TV doing like a random press conference and they have that 97-year-old hairline like that. That gets me in the feels, man. Like Tracy McGrady, he's not T-Mac, he's Big Mac now, right? So I don't say this next part easily because this is somebody that's legendary. He's a last pillar of somebody that was there when I watched the game of basketball. Well, there's a few pillars left. LeBron's still a pillar, and that's Greg Popovich. I think the Spurs need to move on with a new head coach. And that's Greg Popovich is obviously I would probably say the greatest coach of all time, man. Maybe top three, depends on who you're talking to. He's somewhere in the top three. But I just think that the way he coaches the game, it's not what this Spurs team needs anymore. And I would love him to stick in the front office, and be part of the player development, player development or whatever. I don't know, whatever you do with the head office job, man. I don't know. What do they do there, bro? I don't know, man. But yeah, so Greg Popovich and the Spurs just need something different. They need something different. They have this like generational new talent in Victor Wembanyama, and they have this coach that's been coached longer than I've been watching the game, and I just don't think it matches. And I think this Spurs team needs like a burst of like youthful energy, man. Maybe you go out there and you get Coach Tim Duncan. Wouldn't that be interesting? I would love that. I would love Coach Tim Duncan. Somebody that's learned under Greg Popovich, but has, maybe a younger sense of approach when it comes to. Hopefully Josh Giddey ain't watching this. Okay, I'm sorry about that one. That was out of pocket, man. That was out of pocket, okay? But yes, so I'm taking a look here at the Spurs team and just like deciding on like what they need. So they got Victor Wembanyama, obviously. On the season so far, 19 points, 10 rebounds per game, about 3 blocks. Not really shooting that 3 very nicely, though. Like, he's got to definitely up with that. But I think that will kind of come in time, right? So, do you guys like him at the center position or the power forward position more? Because I kind of like how they run him out there with Zach Collins. And it's just kind of like, but yeah, so I kind of like that, but I think maybe they could find somebody better. Well, Zach Collins actually ain't playing too bad on the season. 14.6 rebounds. Maybe you do keep him around. I don't know. That's the thing. I'm looking at the team and I'm like, yeah, maybe Jeremy Sohan at point guard's not the greatest choice. He's averaging 4 assists as the starting point guard these days, man. So I don't really like that. I do like Sohan. I do like him. I really like Devin Vassell a lot too. I know he had a pretty good start to this season, but I don't think he's been maybe doing the greatest as of late. Has some injuries and stuff too. But I love Devin Vassell. Keldon Johnson's cool. It's like I look at at least the starting 5, and outside of not really having a true point guard, I like the makeup of the team though. Trey Jones is fine. Yeah, bench unit could definitely get a bit stronger, I guess is maybe one thing I could see. But what do you really change though? So I know for me personally, talking to Crispy 313, over on Earth 313, he was talking about a trade proposal, and this might get, those Pistons fans the door slammed into their face. What about a trade of Ivy or Killian? You guys decide if it would need to be Ivy or Killian in this case. Beef Stew. I think Beef Stew would be really nice next to Victor Wembanyama. Like, that's what I was kind of getting out at with like Zach Collins. Like, he's playing good this season. I don't know how his longevity of Zach Collins being a decent NBA player, but I feel like Beef Stew would be really nice. And then if you got Ivy or Killian over to the Spurs, then you could have, your point guard, your playmaker, your athletic dude that's going to do maybe John Morant or Russell Westbrook type of things. That would probably be Ivy then, right? Yeah. And then the Pistons would probably want back Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. And there'd probably be some picks in there too, maybe, right? Yeah, I don't know, maybe something. I don't know. But something like that, just because, I do think that the Spurs, I would prefer the Spurs to go the route of getting like a young, promising, like not something that's like a rookie. Like Trey Jones is fine. Like he's not a rookie, obviously, but I feel like a Killian Hayes, he's not an old veteran player that's going to like outage Victor Wembanyama, but he's somebody that could grow alongside Victor Wembanyama. So that's the type of point guard, as opposed to it's like, the Spurs decide they want to trade for like Kyle Lowry. Like, okay, that might be interesting for like a season, but then after we're all done throwing up, it's like, yeah, we don't really care. And then we're off assets for trading for the asset, Kyle Lowry, right? But yeah, I'm gonna say that I think the Spurs, because I see they're on that 15-game losing streak, and it's the same case as like the Pistons video, where you can look at the team and you can be like, you know what, this isn't a bad basketball team. Like, there are some really skillful NBA players on the San Antonio Spurs, and you would think that they probably should be winning a few more games. So that's kind of where I get at with, well, maybe they need a new coach. I don't know, but I love Greg Popovich. I really don't want him to retire. So maybe he could just stick around, right? He could just stick around. And who else would coach? I kind of like Tim Duncan coaching. Or what about, is she still the assistant coach, Becky? Becky would be a great head coach too. That would be interesting. Maybe LeBron James. I don't know, man. But that's all we got for this video. So San Antonio Spurs, I think this is probably obviously disappointing season. I think if you want to make some big changes, like I would build around Wembanyama. I would build around Vassell. I do like Jeremy Sohan. I think Keldon Johnson and Zach Collins, while, like Keldon Johnson's a great player. He's a great player. But if you're not winning games and you need to make a move, it's like, okay, well, what could we get for Keldon Johnson, right? I feel like it would maybe have to be something like that. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's all we got. I'm going to go take a nap in my comfy Spurs bed back there. Have a good night, everybody.